Lethal Company is like an Easter egg hunt on a minefield. If that minefield was also located on a shooting range, inside of a haunted house, crawling with monsters, with the scariest monster of all being the crushing demands of capitalism. As a $10 game made by a furry in his basement, I am morally obligated to play it, so my kneecaps remain unshattered and my mailbox unpipe bombed. I know I'm late to the party, I know you've already seen tons of videos and tons of streams, but I can assure you, this one is most definitely worse. And if you don't mind, I'm just gonna yap about it for 40 minutes because I'm dying to tell you why I'm in love with this YouTube poop of a game that outsold Call of Duty. So let's get started. Okay, so there's this company called The Company that puts a metaphorical gun to your head and gives you two choices. Make money for the company, or if that doesn't sound like your style, your second option is summary execution by the company. The money required to avoid your execution is called quota, and it doesn't matter how silly or how scary things get, it is the only thing that matters. This may seem like just another boring 5-letter word, Q-U-O-T-A, who cares? But the more you play this game, the more you realize it is so much more than that. You will experience horrors beyond your comprehension in the name of quota. You will betray your best friends in the name of quota. Hear me loud and clear, and I mean loud and clear, when I say it's quota or die. Quota is achieved by repurposing random junk from, quote, abandoned industrialized moons that I can assure you were abandoned for a reason. This crap, officially called scrap, is fantastic because it makes absolutely no sense. A jar of pickles can be worth more than an engine. A lamp can be worth more than a nuclear reactor. Even the bodies of your dead teammates technically have a value, and in case you weren't already depressed, each and every one of you is worth 5 whole credits. Value is important, but weight is even more important because the heavier something is, and the more it drains your stamina and hurts your regen, which in a game about sprinting away from things that want you dead is important to keep an eye on. The 5 basic movements you'll make while scrapping I like to call Spidey or Dipsy. Dancing, interacting, pointing, scanning, which is super important for spotting loot and bad guys, so spam that shit, and Y, yapping. I think it goes without saying that yapping is mandatory if you hope to survive. Most crap is one-handed, so to speak, because it doesn't restrict your character's action at all. Other crap is two-handed, which means you can't access your inventory, climb ladders, or pick up anything else, with a perfect example being there's all kinds of quirkiness when it comes to scrap, and the apparatus is a prime example. This mini nuclear reactor is what powers the entire facility you're looting, so once you take it, all the electricity is gone, which means no more lights and an immediate spike in radiation levels. You can call me an idiot for using it as the world's largest, heaviest, most expensive flashlight, but my goals are beyond your understanding. Plenty of scrap has use beyond simply turning into credits to meet quota, like keys that unlock doors, or my personal favorite, stop signs, so I can beat the shit out of bugs using stolen government infrastructure. No matter the junk you collect, it is completely worthless unless you cash it out for credits to meet quota, which is where the terminal comes in. Terminal is the second most important word in this game next to quota, because if you don't learn it, you're in trouble. Your ship's landing and takeoff is controlled by a lever on the dash, but selecting where you want to go is the terminal's business. Typing moons will tell you which are available to loot and how the weather is, and trust me, weather in this game can be a real kick in the dick. Once you've made up your mind, you're typing route, then where you want to go, like the company building, so you can cash out your scrap. Much like all things in Lethal Company, the HQ is also trying to kill you. Turning in your scrap to the window and ringing a bell will turn meaningless crap into cold hard credits, but don't stand too close once the slot opens or you will also be collected. Assuming you survive the tentacle monster, it's time for payday. Paycheck. The size of this paycheck not only depends on what scrap you delivered, but when you delivered it. On day 0, when quota is due, they'll pay you 100% full price for your items, but any day earlier than that, and you only get a fraction of their value, sometimes 30 cents on the dollar. This is a bunch of math I don't care about. Sell whatever you want on any day you want, as long as you meet that almighty number called quota. Assuming you did that, holy shit, we can finally start having fun. Now that you're no longer a little piss baby and you understand quota, let's get down to serious business. With newfound credits come newfound options, a big one being moons. Some moons are distant, like the infamous Titan, that costs money if you want to land on them. They are both higher risk and higher reward, because even though they cost credits, these moons have the best crap and the scariest monsters defending that crap. The other major option for burning credits? Items. And I know you're gonna ask me, so let me tell you in advance that you cannot buy beans. I mean, you can download a mod if you really need beans. People love modding this shit. Moving on to more serious items, we gotta talk about flashlights, because in Lethal Company, you live and die by the flashlight. If you don't have a flashlight to spot mines, turrets, and monsters lurking in the dark ready to nay-nay your ass into an early grave, you are destined for a life of pain. These things are so critical that if you fall to your death, your teammates will have one thing to say: damn, I really miss that flashlight. There's a dipshit version and a pro version that is brighter, larger, and has double the battery, and if you forget to recharge it, I'm feeding your ass to a spider. All items, including flashlights, are bought via the terminal and delivered to you with a jingle that is nearly impossible to miss. Apart from flashlights, everybody's got a tier list of what's good and what's bad, and the walkie-talkie is definitely divisive. It allows you to communicate with anybody else anywhere on the map that is also holding a walkie-talkie, but my friends are so loud that I just can't use it. Items can range from useless novelties that provide zero utility to items with situational utility like performance-enhancing medicine to avoid losing all my ad revenue on this video, even though it's apparently a safe and legal combo of amphetamines and helium. I'm putting flashbangs in this same situational / possibly useless category. Even though it's funny to flashbang something with 8 eyes because it theoretically hits them 4 times as hard, my homies never deploy it correctly on any monster, spiders included. The only item more likely to betray your teammates than a flashbang is a ladder, because no matter how sturdy it is only as safe as the guy that's holding it. You want something truly useful? Buy a teleporter, which lets you yoink any player you are currently spectating back to the ship, dead or alive. Very important to do that, because the company deducts a big chunk of credits for every crewmate you leave behind, but as long as you collect the corpse, you avoid the tax. There's even an inverse teleporter, which beams you from the ship into a random part of the facility, as scary as that sounds. The only major downside here is that items do not travel with you, so it's best to use it for body retrieval or getting a trapped buddy out of a jam. And with that, it's time to move on from items to cooperation, because if you understand teamwork, it'll open a lot of doors for you. It goes without saying that being friendly and cooperative leads to better outcomes in Lethal Company, but if you ask me, being hostile and chaotic is a whole lot funnier. But if you hope to meet quota, especially the larger quotas, you'll need to trust and cooperate with your teammates. Making tough choices is a fundamental part of what makes Lethal Company so addicting, and I'll illustrate this with a door. Let's say you've got a teammate being chased by a monster rushing towards the ship, and you've got 2 choices. Close the door and let your teammate die, but keep yourself and all your other teammates safe from the monster, or alternatively, open the door for your sprinting teammate to potentially save his life, but run the risk of the monster getting inside and killing all of you. This is a major reason why Lethal Company is incredible, because weighing risks and constantly making life or death decisions for both you and your teammates is always exciting. I think it's beneficial to have some pessimists on the team that may be a little negative, but also keep your feet on the ground with pragmatic decision making, especially with credit spending. But you can't forget to balance out these negative players with hopeful optimists that bring enough energy and levity to keep the whole team going. The teamwork dynamic radically changes if you have the big lobby mod enabled, which is extremely popular and changes the team from a max of 4 players to 40 players. And the more players you have, the less teamwork is important. If you have a lobby exceeding 10 players, it's gonna feel like you picked up an entire Menards worth of contractors on the way to that moon. Now that I'm thinking about it, everything changes when you go beyond the default 4 players. A horror game isn't much of a horror game when you outnumber the monsters and all you can hear is chatter about George W. Bush. It's about time we got to the monsters anyway, because each one being unique adds yet another layer of complexity and quite frankly fun, if you ask me. When you land on a moon, the day starts at 8:02 a.m. and it's imperative that you move as fast as possible, because the ship will automatically leave you behind at midnight, and as the day goes on, more and more monsters will spawn. You might think you're built different after easy looting in the early game, but once the sun goes down, your likelihood of getting G-checked by a monster goes way up. The first monster to keep in mind? Gravity. I'm willing to bet that Gravity kills more interns than any other monster, and the number of times I get accused of pushing people is ridiculous. Turrets are self-explanatory, but mines have a little quirk. By this point, you've already seen so many deaths to landmines that they just aren't funny anymore, but what's interesting about them is that they don't detonate until you step off of them. So if you ever accidentally trigger one, you can save lives by getting your teammates out of the blast radius before you step off. Some monsters you can negotiate with, like hoarding bugs, that will completely leave you alone if you drop them loot. It truly does not matter what that loot is. Bada literally gave one a gun, and it immediately left him alone. But don't go thinking that every monster can be negotiated with, because if you try to pull that shit with Bracken, he may not be so amused. Bracken is the most beloved entity in the game that prefers red to blue and is often modded to become Freddy Fazbear. He'll snap your neck and drag your body back to his trap house if you get too close or stare too long, but if you only glance at him, he'll just leave. Some monster interactions are just horse shit. Like the speed that a thumper can wave dash is nothing short of a death sentence. And don't even get me started on the spooky little girl. The math required to understand her behavior could probably stump Richard Feynman. For the most part, each monster monster has flaws for you to exploit. If you don't want to get eaten by a giant, make sure he doesn't see you. If you don't want to get eaten by a dog, make sure he doesn't hear you. The more unique the monster's flaw, the more unique the interaction, and I think Coilhead takes the cake for me. Coilheads are invincible, but can only move when you aren't looking at them, so making sure one of your teammates is always making eye contact is crucial. Cooperation, to bring that up again, is the best way to deal with them, but if you have a teammate nearby and you just don't tell him, that's also a solution. Counterintuitively, he can be even more dangerous with a large group because everybody else assumes that somebody else will maintain the eye contact. If you prefer fight to flight, bashing monsters to death with shovels or stop signs is an option in Lethal Company, but this strategy is much more suited to a modded lobby with 10 guys running around than a default lobby with 4. This game was clearly designed as a run away from the monsters game, not a Space Hulk the monsters run away from me game. Plenty of monsters are invincible, most can out DPS you, and it always feels better to find the creative solution to the bad guy instead of trying to solve every problem with a stop sign. And you've already seen in this video that the scariest monsters are often your own teammates. It's also common to have a commander, so to speak, who is somebody that stays behind on the ship to monitor the radar, open secure doors, teleport players, and communicate on the radio. They're essentially the one driving the boat, having both great power and great responsibility. Because if they ever decide to take off early, it means a premature death for anybody not on the ship, and I have never seen a group of interns so angry. Final question I'm sure you're asking, is Lethal Company scary? And the answer entirely depends on settings. If you are on the big lobby mod like me and constantly have teammates around saying things like this,
You only get salt, pepper, ketchup, a little bit of poop, you know, the usual.
no. It's not scary. If you jack up your brightness like I see a ton of people do, no, it's not a scary game. But if you're playing default 4-player regular vanilla, I think it shows how brilliant and scary, or at the very least unsettling, the game is. I never thought I'd unironically say this word, but the reason why is immersion. I know Skulker is about to bully me and tell me I smell like beans for saying that word, but hear me out. Unlike a Discord call, which feels flat and 2D, the proximity voice chat in this game makes it feel 3D with both distance and direction. For lack of a better word, you are immersed in this world with 3D surround sound that temporarily tricks you into feeling like you are in a place talking to other people. The moment I realized this was brilliant was the moment it was taken away from me. I was deep in the facility down a labyrinth of hallways and my flashlight was almost dead. I called out for help from my teammates, but I was met with silence, so I tried the radio instead.
Let's try this. Can anybody help me get out of the facility? I'm just totally lost. Hello?
I have never felt so completely alone in my entire life. You get so comfortable saying things out loud and hearing things said back in a 3D space that when you say something and don't hear anything back, it is haunting. Your flashlight is dead, the night is getting darker, and the only noises you can hear are monsters approaching you from all angles. That is how Lethal Company can be scary and what makes it so brilliant. When you are around others, the game really makes you feel like you're around others. When you are by yourself, the game really makes you feel like you are by yourself. We are talking 100% forever alone. You are a dead man walking that they will never find. I am blown away that this game was made by one guy, and you won't understand the true extent of his goofy creativity until you've played it for yourself. I'm excited to see how Lethal Company evolves in the future, because since I started making this video, there's been a major update and a mountain of mods added to this game. The introduction of the double barrel shotgun from this nutcracker monster has completely changed the game. This one item suddenly makes every crewmate more dangerous than a police officer hearing a falling acorn. I don't know why, but having this thing around crewmates is like a PDF around boomers. People are gonna die. I guarantee it. Adding a gun to the game may not sound like a big shift, but it has the ability to transform trustworthy crewmates into homicidal maniacs. What's even funnier is that there's a new item called the Dramatic Mask that is specifically designed for this purpose of turning teammates evil. As in, if you hold it up to your face, you can literally turn into a monster that attacks your teammates like a zombie. And even that thing is far less dangerous than a teammate with a shotgun in his hands. In the hands of a reasonable teammate, the outcomes are incredibly positive, because the ability to kill a monster in a split second will get you out of a jam and save lives. But putting the power of God in the hands of an unreasonable teammate, the outcomes may not be so positive. Please, give me the shotgun. I'm normal. I can be trusted with a double barrel shotgun when my teammates are unarmed. There's even a safety mechanic on this thing, because when it's loaded with the safety off, it can randomly fire, and not all of us agreed on safety rules. What makes this especially dangerous is that the spread on this bad boy is massive, and it has no problem slapping multiple targets at once. My most recent play session in February taught me that mods can definitely enhance enhance or weaken the experience depending on your perspective. Like, cosmetics and emotes are just fine, but if you turn on the wrong mod like Brutal Company, it ruins everything. It may be funny for a round or two, and it may make Twitch chat laugh, but that's only because you've made the game impossible. Don't get me wrong, I'm strongly in favor of pushing the bounds of what's possible in a game and limit testing to the ends of the earth. But there comes a point where too much is too much. Like, if you find yourself in a game where you can always hear other people talking no matter your position on the map, the big lobby mod has gone too far. Instead of one lobby of 20, how about 2 games of 10, 4 games of 5, 5 games of 4? You do the math. I think I've made my point on the mods. If you really want to squeeze the fun out of this game, less is more. Wrapping on up here, I can't thank those of you on Twitch enough for helping me make this video. From the subs to the bits to the jokes. I stream 2 hours a day, 6 days a week now, and having thousands of you screaming at me about my busted ass hairline really is a dream come true. And a final shout out to Zeekers for reminding me what kind of power an individual has in 2024. The fact that Lethal Company was made by a single person blows my mind, and I've never spent a better $10 in my entire life.
And that's about it, dog. The final thing I have to say is thank you for watching all the way to the end of my video. I just wanted to make a weird noise just to like really mark the end of the video, and I guess that works.